Hi, it's Brian. Welcome to the Awards Contender. This is my review of the latest Pedro Almodovar film, The Room Next Door, starring Academy Award-winning actresses Julianne Moore and Tilda Swinton. This was one of my most anticipated films of the festival. I love these two women. I will watch them in any movie, like anywhere, anytime. Give it to me. To have them both in the same film was kind of extraordinary, and I tried to avoid spoilers. I did watch the trailer for this one a few weeks back, but it didn't really give away much. It's kind of a series of images, like you get a sense of the tone of the movie, but the story isn't really revealed in the trailer. So I went into this with very high expectations. It got some very good reviews out of the Venice Film Festival. It just won the Golden Lion. Like, the reason Pedro Almodovar was not here at the Toronto Film Festival for my screening was that he was accepting the big prize at Venice. And he is just one of those directors you notice, like, his touch on every movie right away. The use of color, the composition, the way he frames his actresses, the way he lights them. He has such a distinct visual flavor to his movies, going back decades. So you definitely get a sense of him in this movie, his first English language feature film. Now let me give you a brief synopsis of what this movie's about. So Julianne Moore plays a writer named Ingrid. She hasn't seen her friend Martha in a while, but at one of her book signings, Ingrid learns that Martha is sick with cancer, and so she goes to visit her in the hospital, and they get to talking, and Martha, played by Tilda Swinton, is kind of upset because when she got the cancer diagnosis, she had prepared herself to die. Like, she thought, okay, this is it, I'm gonna go, but she goes through treatments, and she comes out of it still alive, but there's not a great prognosis for her future. Like, she's never going to get rid of the cancer. And so she asks Ingrid, who she's known for many years, if she would help her go to a place where she can die with dignity. And so even though Ingrid is kind of terrified of death, she says that in the movie, she loves her friend enough to accompany her to this beautiful kind of nature retreat, this incredible house that looks out over the mountains and the trees and things. And over the course of a few days, they connect in a way they never really have before. And it's just a beautiful story filled with lots of emotion, yes, but also humor. The movie is funny at times. This film is not all doom and gloom. Like, it could have been a slog if it was just 2 hours of waiting for Tilda Swinton to die, and that's all the movie is. It's a lot more than that. What this movie says about life and death is really fascinating. You put yourself in the place of Ingrid. You think about, oh, if a best friend asked me to do this for them, would I go along with it? Would I do something like this for a friend in desperate need? It raises so many important questions that not every movie asks, that's for sure. And just to watch these two brilliant, Oscar-winning actresses play together in many long scenes where they're just talking about their lives, talking about everything that makes them happy, what doesn't make them happy anymore, their families, their passions, their regrets. Like, this film is rich with so many lovely details, but those two central performances are why everyone's gonna go see this movie. And if you want to see The Room Next Door, to see Julianne Moore play off of Tilda Swinton and vice versa, you are in for a treat. On that level, this movie works. Like, they are so fantastic in this. Julianne Moore, you can always count on her. Like, if she is in a movie, I'm there. That's Julianne Moore for me. Has been, I would say, since the 90s. She is so frickin' reliable, whether she's the lead of the film or a supporting role. And here, it's not like a giant stretch, I would say, in terms of her acting. But even though she's great in this, and I really admired her performance, it doesn't stick out the way Tilda Swinton's performance does. I do think her role is more emotionally resonant for the viewer. And she has some really devastating moments in this. She's so thoughtful, so wise, and you really do feel like her body is deteriorating in this movie. I don't know how that was done, whether it was through like a crazy diet for Swinton or just makeup and wardrobe, the way her hair looks, like they did things to make her appear as if she's physically dying, but it's really effective in that manner. Tilda Swinton's portrayal of Martha in The Room Next Door is a definite standout performance in 2024. I really, really loved everything she did in this. Now, in terms of things I didn't much care for in The Room Next Door, the movie gets off to a rocky start, I'm going to admit. Very early on, in the first 10 to 15 minutes, we get flashback scenes to like early moments in Martha's life, and they're a little bit clunky. Like the first couple moments are not Tilda Swinton because the character is so young, and these moments are beautifully shot, but by the end of the movie, I was like, did we need those flashbacks? Couldn't it just have been on the current Tilda Swinton's face, telling a bit of the story? I almost think that would have been more effective, especially when it's a different actress as Martha. I don't know, I didn't think that was necessary. There is one plot point about halfway through the movie I found to be kind of unbelievable. I actually said out loud, "What? Really? Really?" like I voiced that in the moment. I was like, I don't really believe that would happen. But ultimately, I was like, okay, I'm gonna let this one go. And then there is this narrative element in the last 10 minutes that I won't give away, of course, that I was like, okay, that's a choice, Pedro. It was like, I don't know if that fully works. I understand the rationale behind what he does with a certain character at the end. That's all I'll say. But it didn't fully work for me. It didn't have the emotional impact I think he was going for. But honestly, this is kind of nitpicking just a few aspects of the movie. The majority of The Room Next Door is extremely compelling. First, with those two central performances, like I would say the middle hour 15, like you do not look away. This movie has been made at such a high level of performance, of dialogue, of technical craft, of production design. Holy cow, the production design in The Room Next Door is so beautiful to look at. I mean, I think the production design is Oscar-worthy in this film. I don't think it'll be a contender, but it would be if I was voting. I think it's that good. The cinematography is striking. It's got a lovely score. The pacing is nice. It's never too fast or too slow. Like even when they're at the house and they're just talking, there's not a scene that goes on and on and on and you're like, all right, Jesus, hurry it up. Like there's never that. There have been a couple movies I have seen at the Toronto Film Festival that have extremely long scenes where we're on like minute 7 and I'm like, okay, I think we can go on to the next part here. There's never that moment in The Room Next Door. Every scene feels just long enough, and watching these two pros at the top of their game working together is a pleasure. Like if you adore these two actresses, you're probably going to like or love The Room Next Door the way I did. You just have to thank your lucky stars that Pedro Almodovar thought to bring them in the same movie finally, after decades, after so many wonderful films they've both been in. Again, they're both Oscar winners, and both of their names have been tossed around as potential Academy Award nominees for The Room Next Door. That makes sense. Now, it does get a little tricky because they're both in the majority of the film. It doesn't feel right to me for either one to be in supporting actress. I think they're both the lead of The Room Next Door, but the Thelma and Louise situation just doesn't happen anymore, so one will go lead and one will go supporting. That's just the way it is. After having seen the film, I feel like Julianne Moore will go lead and Tilda Swinton will go supporting. And if that is the case, which I think it will be, Tilda Swinton is going to do much better this award season than Julianne Moore, especially because actress this year is going to be stacked. It's going to be hard for Moore, I think, for this performance to break through. She might get in at a couple precursors, but like she couldn't get in last time for May December in supporting actress, which did surprise me at the end of the day. I don't think she can get into lead actress for this. But as long as there's enough positive reviews of The Room Next Door and Sony Pictures Classics gives this an awards push, like a campaign, I do think Tilda Swinton is going to get an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress. That would surprise me if she missed. I think this movie could get into supporting actress and adapted screenplay. This is adapted from a novel. And I feel like a lot of the movies I've been watching lately that have a shot at getting into screenplay have been original, and this is adapted, and the Academy loves Pedro Almodovar. Like, he's won an Oscar in screenplay. So I feel like he could get into adapted, and Tilda Swinton can get into supporting actress. So yeah, even though I think The Room Next Door does have a few flaws at times in the narrative, especially I would say in the first act, so much of this movie is just watching Moore and Swinton together, talking about so many important subjects, fascinating topics all the way through, and with that lovely cinematography and the production design and score, like most of this movie is just a pleasure. So it does get a recommendation, of course, from me. Again, if you love these two actresses, you're going to enjoy The Room Next Door. I give this film an 8 out of 10. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing, and stay tuned for more reviews out of the Toronto Film Festival. We'll see you next time at the Awards Contender.